Jack, I'm glad to see you.
Glad to see you, David.
This is a big snow, they say, coming up in New York.
It is tonight, a big snow. How do you feel about snow?
Oh, come on. If it doesn't make me ill and I, fall down and break my leg from slipping, I love to see it.
So do I. I love all inclemency, in fact, and it's become such a cliche for people to lament the weather when I crave the notion that a storm will be announced.
Of course, there's excitement in that. Wow, we're going to be, snowbound. We're going to be isolated. We're going to be in danger. Don't you think that those things are part of it?
Well, yes. In fact, in Robert Richardson's biography of William James, we may have spoken of this line before on our program, but he references, I believe in the preface to the book, that William James was present during the Great San Francisco earthquake. And when he rose in the midst of it and the room was shaking, do you recall what he said his remark was? He said to the cosmos, "Go it more."
Wow. Henry James, the great writer, said
William
this?
James.
William James? Oh, this great psychologist.
Yes.
The brother.
Yes.
What a twosome they were.
Yes.
The letters between James and the boys are just wonderful.
I haven't read them.
They're wonderful. I mean,
Between
William and Henry.
Okay.
Yeah, they were very close, and William was certainly the great psychologist of America at that time. I've read a few of his books. Yes, in Cleveland, the inclemency went on from forever. I'll never forget walking to school. You could walk to school then and not think that you were going to, be found and kidnapped. And I was quite alone. And I remember I would, this high and with whatever the snow shovels, I don't know what they had, that way higher than me. It was so interesting. I never forgot that image in my mind. It comes back often.
The impression, you mean, of the handles of the shovels being taller than you were?
The shovels are all over with. There's a silence, me walking to school, and the thing is 7 or 8 feet high.
You mean the piles of snow?
Of snow, yes.
From having been cleared and the piles were made?
Yes, in Cleveland. It was a constant snowfall from November.
And did you ever have snow days where school...
No.
It always went in?
No, I never remembered any.
I didn't think so. And on those days, it didn't create a day where though the school was open, that only a few children appeared. You know what I mean? Everyone still came. So how do you account for the fact that they'll close the schools here in New York sometimes if even just the threat of a flurry comes?
Oh, they're out of their minds. Why would they do that? I mean, it's ridiculous. There's no education for the poor kids anyway, but they come for the social life.
Yes. And
I would rather see them trudging in tremendous snow or sleet or rain and getting to school and at least, seeing your little girlfriend maybe if you if you have enough power at 9 years old to have one.
Yes.
I think that we've coddled children to the point of extreme. These children today are so inert, so unathletic, unless they've done this specialty because of their parents, this nonsensical, endless swimming to get some medal when you're 19 years old from the World Olympic Committee, and to a never-ending battle with what? These children just don't have any guts. They don't know how to climb trees as I did. They don't know how to fall from them.
Right.
They don't have any imaginative games together. My brother and I built a tremendous baseball system with dice, believe it or not.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't remember the game. He remembers it probably better than me because it was more of his invention. But it was so good that you had a man up, and it was a complicated game with dice. And it would certainly be more interesting to do that today than to have them search the internet day and night.
Right.
I mean, and whatever their habits are. These habits are so disgusting. They don't go out for walks. They don't play with each other. You remember marbles? I used to be a great
Yes.
expert at marbles.
Well, I have a million questions for you about that, but before we leave snow, was sledding a part of your life?
Definitely, I remember a boy by the name of Daniel Zelinsky.
Okay.
And we had a cultural gardens given in Cleveland on a street now named Martin Luther King Boulevard. What was it called then? I don't know. It doesn't matter. The point is that every country had its cultural garden, and this was all provided by Rockefeller. The elder gave in perpetuity the money to keep these cultural gardens alive, and I would come after school. I would often go through them, and they had terrific hills, and I remember sledding down one of them with Daniel Zelinsky. I have no idea who he is. I don't remember anything except the name Daniel Zelinsky, and I saw him crack up on his sled. Yes, of course I had that.
You mean you only remember his name because of the crack up?
Yeah.
And you had not met him before that day of play?
I don't remember anything about him.
So he wasn't a classmate?
I don't think so.
But it was a spectacular moment of a crash?
Yes.
So what kind of sleds were you using? Like flexible flyers?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. I held on the
Yes,
end.
you held to and you steer, and you
And
could
you
either
steered and you
sit
went
or
down.
lie on your stomach on
Yes,
those.
I lied on the stomach. Yes.
Yeah, and that's the principal way to go fast.
I see.
All right. Don't you agree?
Yeah, and I was going fast, and
Yeah.
he was going very fast. Whatever he hit, I don't know, but I don't remember anything about the accident or anything about Daniel Zelinsky. I hope he had a good time.
Okay.
And
And do you agree that the snow has to be pretty packed down for a flexible flyer to
Yeah.
really work? So where you did it, did you have to tamp it down, or were there enough kids in the neighborhood that it got packed enough?
it got packed.
Yes.
The
Okay.
cultural gardens were utilized. People would go there even in the winter, and it was beautiful in the summer. I remember the Polish one, for instance, had statue of Paderewski, first prime minister of Poland, and of Chopin, and many hundreds of years later, I got a call from someone in the Polish who took care of the Polish gardens, and said that they now have enough money to do a new statue which had been vandalized about 10 years before. So Chopin had to get back there, and they had to have the money to do it, and they got another statue, and they asked me to come and do a live concert with a couple of pupils or whatever from, at this time, I think at the Cleveland Institute of Music. I had some former New York people that were there, and we did a wonderful job of, it was packed with people, and the mayor was there or something, and the cultural gardens in Poland, the Polish part, now had Chopin back where he should be.
You mentioned the Polish monuments, and you mentioned Paderewski. And today, earlier in our private conversation, we were talking about how certain romantic personalities can form their own sense of code, or if not inhibition, based upon their own romantic conception of things that they pluck out from experience in literature, that they don't even need the imposition of a traditional church to give themselves those sensibilities. I would have to say, and I think it's both in the art of the piano and in your film, The Golden Age of the Piano, that perhaps one of the most beautiful lines of a kind of chivalric romanticism that I've ever read, in terms of conduct that goes beyond just men and women, but in terms of an absolute sense of just a grand human decency, is a remark or a quotation that you have from the lore of Paderewski, where he's in a remote town in the United States, and I know you know the quote already, and either he's ill or has some small
Hurt his finger or whatever.
finger, and his management suggested that he cancel. And it moves me even to repeat or to paraphrase the phrase that he'll perform because I may never pass this way again,
No.
and I don't wish to disappoint these people.
So beautiful. You see,
Yes.
there's a performer's chivalry.
Mm-hmm.
There's a personal one.
Yes.
There's the love of the piano. There's the love of music,
Mm-hmm.
and there's the love of his audience that
Yes.
he knows are just idolizing him and waiting for him to play a Chopin mazurka or
With such a
something else.
refinement that even that sentence, the quotation, doesn't read as the condescension of a star saying, I can't disappoint them. No, but he
No,
means that he's
no.
bringing something that maybe he feels for which he's the minister, but to a degree almost not in possession of it, and it's his obligation
It
to
is,
give
yes,
it.
yes.
It's a really beautiful moment. And that's from, I guess, again, the wonderful world when it was genuinely train travel. These
Yeah.
men in their
Oh, yes.
in their Pullman cars.
And that little town was not demeaned in any way. He was
Right.
going to do it, and he did it.
Mm-hmm.
But he was everywhere in the world. From no human being that had ever played the piano, not list anyone, had ever gone to as many places to ply his arts to a public that never adored any performer more than they did Paderewski. Not Eleonora Dulce, not Sarah Bernhardt, not Pavlova, naming a couple of the arts. There were no films, of course.
Mhm.
But Paderewski did make the first film. He wanted to. He made the first film that the piano was recorded as a real piano. And he was there with the engineers all the time. And he played, extensively throughout this movie.
Is that where the clip comes from, the art of piano,
Mhm.
where he's playing the heroic polonaise?
Yes.
What film is that from?
I can't remember right now, and I
Okay.
won't be able to, although if it came back to me, I would know. He was a very well-known director.
Yeah.
And he was in his 70s,
Mhm.
about 76. Played. Oh, it was called Moonlight Sonata. Sorry,
Oh, that's the name of the film.
That's the name
Do we
of
know
the
who
film.
was in the movie?
I forgot.
Because you're right, it's clear that the sound is not looped.
No,
It's definitely coming from his hand.
it's the first time
Yes,
that the piano was recorded that way.
Wow.
Not interesting little tidbit. I don't think I put that in the movie.
No,
but-
that's right. In the golden age of the piano, that remark is not there.
Yeah, it's not there
Mhm.
because it didn't matter, I guess, at that.
Mhm.
But it is important in a way because it spawns a new world.
Yes, it does. Now, I inevitably think of where we left off last time, and speaking of men of flair and dash, and you hinted,
Paderewski had it.
of course, and now I'm thinking of a topic that we touched on at the end of last time, and then I suggested we defer because it's such a rich topic, and then you revealed that you can speak firsthand of tales of Leonard Bernstein.
Oh, the first hand about Bernstein, who was also a heroic figure,
Mhm.
certainly on the conductor's podium, but his omnibus speeches on music and so
Mhm.
forth. I mean, that was one of the great pioneering efforts in the history of television, and it's now a shame that such cultural commodities like that to show the greatness of the art of music, which is desperately needing a few people to hold it and give to the young, because the young don't know anything any longer about music.
Mhm.
When I went to a high school, there was concerts of the Cleveland Orchestra that we all left class and went to
Mhm.
hear the Cleveland Orchestra. I don't think necessarily George Sell, the main conductor, was there, but it was, for the little kids to. Well, those impressions are very important, even if it's one or two. I mean, I'm telling you out of nowhere
Mhm.
that I remember them.
Yes.
And they're not teaching music, they're not teaching painting, they're not teaching appreciation, they're not teaching yoga, they're not teaching for me to cook. I would like to have learned. Now
Mhm.
I disdain it. I don't, because I don't want to waste my time.
Mhm.
That's ridiculous to say waste your time with food. That food keeps you alive. But the point is, I'm so far beyond it. I don't want to make something that I have to get rid of it instantly.
I understand.
I don't care to. I rather have some more permanent design to what I'm doing, a drawing or whatever. I'm not saying that cooking can't be artful. It's really quite wonderful, and I love great food, and I love Arby's, and my goodness,
I
you'll
was so
catch me.
relieved when you said that today. The topic of Arby's finally surfaced for us.
Every once in a while, I will see an ad on TV, and I'll say, "Where are the Arby's in Manhattan?" I used to go all the time.
That's absolutely, David. Oftentimes people will be celebrating the restaurants to which they cannot resist because of their high artfulness, and sometimes I'll join these people only to have to keep it to myself that I do not feel full and I will have to repair to the Arby's on 8th Avenue.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No, the Arby's used to be a great joy to me.
Yes.
And as I told you in Cleveland, I would go work at the baseball games, and before that,
Yes.
I would buy 8 or 10 hamburgers, 16 cents each, from Royal Castle. And I was always impressed with the fact that there were Royal Castles only in Cleveland, Miami, and I think Chicago.
And that would be like a close sibling to White Castle in terms of the
Yes.
size of the hamburger.
Yeah, you don't see many White Castles anymore, and the White Castle hamburger, same exact hamburger, except 10 times as good.
Mm. You told an interesting tale that I think might have been from a moment when you were at a Royal Castle of what you thought was a homeless man who put ketchup in his root beer?
In his birch beer.
Birch beer.
Didn't we talk about that once here?
We very recently. I was just wondering if you would recall.
Not on our
program. No.
Substack, right?
No, not here.
Yeah, it was very interesting, and there were so many people that have nothing to do with our world now, that lived within my young years, that were either hobos,
Yes.
gallowed wine drinkers going through the forest to catch the train with their hands. And I was so impressed with them.
And it's of such a distinct culture that's lost to us, that's very distinct from modern homelessness. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, nothing to do with modern homelessness.
Yes.
It's boring.
It has much.
Oh, it's boring. These are, you know what the people are homeless for? They don't want to work at all of the horrible jobs that are presented to them. Oh, everything is, we have 400,000 more jobs. I don't want any of them. I'd rather starve to death if I had to do these jobs.
And so
every one of those, if you start interviewing them, they say, I just can't work in an office. I can't do this. I can't. I rather live homeless. But this homeless is an urban blight. It's a thing that you never know who you're talking to. There could be an insane man right among them.
Yes.
Because they were all let out in the late 70s from the mental institutions, of which about 98% of Americans belong to, I think, in one moment or other of their lives. This is a country that makes no demands on you in the beginning. You think, oh, wow, and they call it the land of freedom. And then you find very soon that absolutely everything comes with an incredible tag, usually a price tag, and almost always destroying all the hours of your life in meaningless work. So any of these people that say to me, I don't want to work, there's nothing in the society I can do that will please me. Well, I can invent lots of things, including building new cities. We need very much new cities. You know, there's only 500,000 people in Wyoming.
Okay, but you very much resist the idea of giving the earth over to any new graves. Would you rather, at the same time, see a new city take over a pristine piece of the prairie in eastern Wyoming?
Well, there's so much. I wouldn't let it happen here.
Okay.
There's so much that we have an overpopulation problem in every major city. I mean, this is, get rid of 4 or 5 million New Yorkers, 3 million Chicagoans. All of the people in Miami are, just, trying to get on the beach all day long. And the other thing is the digital revolution has actually taken away millions of things to do. There's nothing for people to do. I could take one person and I would say, I'm going to, from my imagination, have you do something. Or if you don't want to do it, how would you like to be my valet? I have so many things for you to do
Yes.
that really ruin my time. I live in an age of no servants. I myself am poor, so I cannot possibly pay you much, but I have a lot of things for you to do, and some of them will be fun, and you'll be able to get outside, and you can have all the freedom you want, and I can tell you the truth. I'll put you in the back room, and you'll have a better life with me.
I've always thought that's interesting that we've lost the cultural welcoming of the idea of a personal man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure, my God.
Yes.
First thing, would Chopin have survived going up the stairs of any of there were no elevators. He had to have his man, his valet, who knew more about him than anyone. As I once told you, I would love to know Liszt's manager, who for 12 years traveled
Yes,
with him.
what was his name?
I don't know this minute, but
Okay.
I want to say that this man knew things that I want to know myself and never will, because he traveled with a man that thought so deeply on everything
Yes.
that every possible thing that he would have remembered would have been important,
I see.
far above any biography. And he was sworn to silence by Liszt.
Do we know that he asked that from him? Or do we just understand that?
No, we understand that Liszt would definitely have asked it.
All right.
All of the men that he had in his life that shaved him and so forth and traveled with him were very much part of his soul.
I see. Before we go too far afield from it, though, would you mind, again, because of the beautiful distinction between the lost culture of what we imagine to be the hobo, who might be the last bit of the surf coming up onto the sand of the person who can almost drift through the frontier, though it had already vanished, before we no longer can make such distinctions and we would only find those people homeless. Can you tell me again, or tell everyone, because it resonated with me. We talked about the man who suddenly only remarked to you, or at least you asked him why he was putting ketchup in his birch beer.
Oh, yeah, well, he was putting it in because he said that was the only way he could get any vegetables,
Okay.
any kind of vitamins at all. So he took the Heinz ketchup, and I hope that they write me a thank you note for the
Yes.
the mention of Heinz.
Mm-hmm.
Heinz Hall in Pittsburgh is all red, after the ketchup.
I'll have you know that when I worked in Pittsburgh for a year, I lived in a place called Heinz Lofts, which was the old ketchup factory.
I'll be darned.
Yes, and it had the red sign blinking on the roof.
I still love ketchup,
And when I needed to remember my zip code, all I'd have to do, because I didn't live there very long, was look at one of the glass bottles of Heinz ketchup, and there was my zip code.
Oh, that's marvelous. But the zip code should never have happened. It's too many letters.
It does de-romanticize the look of an envelope.
Yeah.
Now, David, I'm ashamed to say as an American, help me distinguish, because no one loves the culture of the soda fountain and the hamburger one could get from a regular soda. Help me distinguish between birch beer and root beer.
I don't know. You could look it up or ask.
Because you were very careful to tell me that it wasn't root beer.
Oh, no.
All right. But it's still a soft drink.
This was root beer. I still
Okay.
love it. And I love Dad's old-fashioned root beer. I don't know if it still exists.
Okay, I think so.
But this is a this is a definite caloric thing. It's a very good one. Pure sugar cane.
Mm-hmm.
But the birch beer has nothing to do with, I can't explain there's still birch beer out there, but I've never had anything like the deliciousness. Always in one of those beer mugs that you could see through, and very, very
also,
cold.
birch beer is not a soda pop.
I don't think it
It's
is.
a genuine beer.
No, it's not a beer.
Oh, okay.
No.
Right.
They couldn't sell it. They didn't have it was a definite
That's
soda pop.
All right,
probably.
okay.
Oh, but I loved it. And this man, he put the bottle
Yes.
in there, and he drank it away. And he had his one or two hamburgers.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the great movie palaces of Cleveland. You don't have any movie houses at all, I think now.
No.
But
Well, not the way
they were magnificent. I mean, Cleveland was a high distribution like Chicago or Detroit or great Midwestern outpouring of the great film age. And you would go in there on Sunday. I mean, you could buy popcorn 5 cents.
Yes.
Today, if you went to the tickets are 25 or 30. The popcorn is 25.
Yes.
The dots or the chuckles are $10 each. I mean, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Everything is so expensive and it's so worthless.
Yes. Now, and think of how so much worth could come even from just a moment from that time of such a glorious body of work that they created. That you talked about how an impression was so strong on you, even in a pre-adolescent moment, that you were riding in the back of a car, I think, or your family's car. I remember this story from years ago when we first started to talk about movies. And I think maybe you were asked how you liked the movie, or maybe you just simply asked your mother and father, who was the woman that you had just seen, even though you were a tiny boy. And I think it was obviously a musical, and I think you were referencing Rita Hayworth.
Yes, I went to the Doane Theater.
Okay.
On probably Euclid Avenue or whatever in Cleveland. St. Clair Avenue. See, it's amazing what one.
The things we
pulls
carry.
back, yeah.
Yes.
And Euclid was a bigger, more glamorous street, especially before the Depression. But St. Clair Avenue and the Doane Theater, and it had already been that world of the double feature. And I had no idea what the movies were. All I know that I was probably 6 at the most. And I don't think my brother was with us. He was younger, and I was with my parents. And they took me into the place, and the first movie captivated me on a level that I just couldn't believe it. I was so mad. Why am I this little child? I want to seduce this woman dancing.
Yes.
She was so beautiful to me, so seductive. I could never believe that I could not know her and indeed have her. I wanted her. I didn't understand what that meant then.
Yes.
But it was purely physical. And I had known nothing about her. I had not seen Gilda, or I had no idea when they were made. I just remember that at intermission I went to the bathroom, came back for the second film. My father was having a little bit of popcorn. He didn't have much of anything because everything was an expense. When you grew up in America during the Depression, boy, you became a very different person than the later generation. You watched every penny. So then I started the second one. Had no idea who the guy up there was. I didn't even know that he was dancing. He was there, and I was hypnotized by Rita Hayworth to such a point where I wanted to cry. So after the movie, again, I was feeling so small, so child, because that's what I was. I was a little child. And the man in me was killing that. I want to grow up. I want to be a big man now, so I can ask her out.
Yes.
I didn't know what you did, or on a date, or
Right.
or even what her telephone number could be. It was just so desolate a feeling, and I can tell you that 5-year-old boys have this feeling everywhere, and sometimes always, unless it's very repressed. So I indeed was sitting in the back, and again I was in this haziness, this total hazy feeling. Oh my God, where is she? Where is she? I didn't even know she was dancing. It happened to be 2 Fred Astaire, Rita Hayworth films. The dancing meant nothing. The dancing was part of the great flair, the great beauty of the movement and her body and so forth. It was probably this stupid guy was with her. Well, he was just some top hat or something. I don't know. And so I said to my mother, said, "How did you like the movies?"
Mm-hmm.
They were not exactly verbal with each other often.
Okay.
And I said, "I can't tell you how much I liked the woman." And she said, "Well, that's Rita Hayworth."
Mm-hmm.
As if I should know.
Okay.
I'm 5 years old.
Yeah.
And my father says, "Well, how did you like the man? You know, the dancer Fred Astaire."
Mm-hmm.
So I have no remembrance of him at all. I don't remember him. I said, I guess he's fine.
Right.
She so dominated the innards of my being
Mm-hmm.
that I couldn't get her out of my mind for months and months and months.
Mm-hmm.
And that led to the beginnings of my feelings of, God, can't I grow up already? Can't I get going so I could talk to a Rita Hayworth or
Mm-hmm.
whoever else was, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in my mind from movies. Always from movies, you
Yes.
see. Those theaters, not the Dome, which was a modest, you know, like suburbia, just city movie house, but the ones on Euclid, yes, the big palaces
Mm-hmm.
of movies, one after another, always crowded.
Do you ever remember, my mother and father sometimes reference days where there would be broadcasts from the movie theater, where you would see, this resonates, that you remember such
No,
things?
no, I don't remember.
Or
any.
how about, if I'm not mistaken, certain days where there might be plates, meaning plates that one eats from,
Mhm.
for sale, like different sales or small events that were mixed with.
No, I only saw them in my life there as these wonderful palaces for movies only.
Movies only, all right.
Mm-hmm. The big screen at that time, you know, it captivated me. Loved to look at the horses going.
Now, if I may, without despoiling your history, because you've entrusted me with certain things, I, of course, know some instances where you have played hooky in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Did that ever include the movies?
Yes, yes. The I would play hooky and get on the Cleveland Transit and go down to the Standard Theater,
Okay.
which had at that time wondrous films of more nudity than the usual puritanical American, and I would see more not at all pornos, no, but more advanced movies from France.
Okay.
And there was one I remember so much. I fell in love with Marina Valadi. You ever hear of her?
No.
Marina Valadi, a
Okay.
blonde, and the movie was called The Sorceress.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and that movie was so romantic, and I don't remember anything of it except that absolutely wondrous. I think she was blonde. Marina Valadi. Has anyone ever heard of her? I don't know. In this country, I think she was a French movie star.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember leaving school. You know, that school was so odious, and I was already knowing in myself that I should be teaching the music courses or something,
Mhm.
not being bored by the teacher.
Right.
To me, the great sin of a teacher is if they bore you for a minute, and you have a great responsibility. If it's 30 or 40 or 3 or 7 people, you must be entertaining as a great entertainer, or you're not going to learn anything.
Agreed.
Even the way you read a passage from a book, you have to do it with a great flair. So teaching is a rare gift for anyone, because most teachers are very inhibited in front of their classes.
Well, then that returns us to the notion of Leonard Bernstein as a great man of dash and flair, who also was a great public figure as a teacher. And you, again, I'm dying to draw out from you the crossover. You said there were instances of things where he was even kind and of assistance to you.
When Reflections from the Keyboard,
Yes.
my first book and a book that you treasure,
Yes.
came out, beforehand editor, Eileen Smith, said, "Is there any way of getting a blurb from Bernstein?"
Mm.
And I said, "No, not that I know of, because Bernstein, I never knew.
Mm-hmm.
I think he knew who I was because he told John Gruen, the man who wrote The Private World of Leonard Bernstein, who was a friend of mine, that why don't you tell Duvall to play more of my music on WNCN, especially at night when I'm awake all night long or something."
Okay.
And I thought that was very funny. You know,
Yes.
he wanted to, he was pushing his records.
Okay.
And I said to John, "Yeah, well, I always play a lot of Bernstein through the night."
Mhm.
And I think that Lenny may have known that.
Okay.
Who knows how he knew things? So,
May I ask, what did you program of his?
Nielsen, things like that.
Oh, you mean
symphonies or
his
Sibelius, yes,
records of his interpretations
yes,
of others?
yes, as a
Okay.
conductor, Beethoven, whatever it would be, Brahms, and or his own music. I don't remember. I mean, I had from 12 midnight to 6 in the morning
Mhm.
till the morning shift. I had the whole thing. You know, to have tremendous big Mahler symphonies, things like that.
Okay.
So I said, "Well, I'll look into to getting one, but I don't think I can." I remember I had a blurb from Jean-Pierre Rampal
On the dust jacket.
on the dust jacket,
Yes, okay.
and Aaron Copland, which he never gave anything out, but
Mhm.
he remembered the series
Mhm.
I did with him. He wasn't even happy to give it, but he did because.
Okay.
And who else? I forgot. 4 or 5, and Bernstein.
Mhm.
But I thought, and I gave up on the Bernstein. I asked Tom Frost, who's still alive at 101 almost, who was Horowitz's Cirque, and everyone was working for the great artists and conductors, and knew Bernstein. I think he had produced some of Bernstein stuff, and I asked him, and he said he understood that would be great to have a blurb.
Mhm.
And this was many months before, and he told me what to do and send the manuscript to the Osborne on 57th Street, and right across from Carnegie Hall, where Bernstein had given this beautiful apartment as a gift to his first piano teacher and early secretary, like later on, Helen Coates.
Yes, I remember the name. Yes.
You remember the name? Yes.
I do.
And that, I believe that was a gift for her before he moved into the Great Dakota.
Okay.
And so I had the manuscript from the publisher sent to the Osborne, and she said that she would really try to get this to Bernstein to read, whatever.
Mhm.
And 1 week would go by, 3 weeks, 9 weeks, 20 weeks. And finally Eileen said, "I guess we'll never have Bernstein's blurb."
Mhm.
I said, "I don't think so, I really don't. There's nothing more I can do." And Tom said the same thing. He just inundated with things.
Mhm.
You could send it to Harry Krause, his manager, personal manager, but the chances are that he'd ever see it from him would not, be good. Okay. I didn't know him well, and I should have known him well.
Mm.
I did have one or two things, but he didn't know that it was me. It was just a impersonal moment we had at a ballet concert, and so that was it. And it was now going to go into production, or whatever it is, or whatever they do, and then I get a letter on the last day possible that it could be used. And it's a very long letter. Where it is in this apartment, I do not know.
Mhm.
but it's here.
Okay.
I hope. And it's a. I mean, how did he write this long letter typed? Leonard Bernstein, and he may have dictated it to his secretary or whatever. But the point is, it was so detailed about the book. And the thing that we used was that the hero of this book is Duval, and he's taken something that has many parts and made it into a whole. In short, a real book.
David, the only reason I haven't been able to chime in is because you are right. I extol and cherish that book so much that my dust jacket has long since disintegrated. So, but when you say that, I remember reading that on the back. That,
and I may have said it to you just probably close to what it is.
We're very close to what it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I was so thrilled because Bernstein was a great heroic personality and one of the great. He transcended just the art of concert music.
Yes.
Or as they call it, classical music. He transcended this. He was a world personality, and he was bringing what I was doing on a small level to the whole world. I was on a small level programming every work, every hour of the month for the 3 states that it would go to at that time in FM, New Jersey, Connecticut, and New York State. So I always had a mission. I romanticized myself. Well, I'm not getting any fame, I'm not getting any money, but I'm doing something for classical music, which seemed to me, and I guess in its way, same today. I was doing something for my art.
Yes.
And well, if I couldn't play the way Horowitz or Rubinstein or conduct or whatever, I could do an interview book.
Did you have cause to ever see Bernstein as a piano soloist in any of the concertos that we know he played?
No.
Okay.
Not that I know of. He was a very good pianist. And someone said to me, because I was saying, did he have a repertoire in any way of old chestnuts? Like, I said, like Narcissus by Nevin from Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
Nevin was born in Pittsburgh. He died in his 40s, I think. And Narcissus was a piano piece that I recorded, and not to my liking. But the person,
meaning the result wasn't to your liking?
No, I don't think it ever can be in a way, because you'd like to. There's one moment where my hands are not together, things like that.
All right,
that,
okay.
That maybe only I would know, but it's there to torture me, so I don't go and say, hey, I would like to hear my Narcissus. I will put it on the air, but I don't think I care if I hear it or not. It's over with. A record is always the same. That's the problem with it. So what was I talking about?
Well, I was asking about Bernstein, the pianist. And I just wanted to say that
So the person said to me, "Yes, I was at the Dakota," and I said, "You know Narcissus by Ethelbert Nevin."
Yes.
And he went to the piano just and played it like that.
Wow.
I mean, these people are just incredible. These few geniuses.
Yes, I really have to say, when I made my own teenage endeavor to study the Rhapsody in Blue, and did, and then went through the course of listening to countless recordings, he has a remarkable Rhapsody in Blue.
I think so. Yes.
Yes, such that after one becomes even inured to the idea that there's any latitude to do anything with it, and when people try to, often I feel they've merely distorted it. But he does some very
beautiful performance of the Ravel, beautiful of their Mozart 17th. There was probably nothing he could not do. He was a good writer, of course. He probably had other things, maybe drawings, I don't know. It was such a large temperament. Last time we talked about, he dies at 72 and everyone, he smoked too much. And he didn't have the puritanical culture
Right.
of the American, you know, in any way effete type. He was a very masculinized man, very virile,
Mm.
and he.
Well, that's interesting. Why? Because that's what was the substance of our private conversation today. Though I admire that greatly, I told you that part of what I felt is my own autobiography was my inability in loving America to escape that fraction that comes from the Puritan heritage. And that even in my ability to escape the more nominal aspects of that, or the pre existing religiosity of Puritanism, that in a mythic way, I still have a way to want to recreate from my own symbols my own puritanical inhibitions. But he's so American,
Mm-hmm.
and seems to embrace people like Ives, who are also puritanical, to be the exponent for someone like that. But he himself is able to escape it. Well, how do you think he did that?
What a great question. He comes from a middle class Jewish
Yeah.
family, not necessarily greatly musical. He lives the life of a so-called normal American in the Boston area.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a genetic genius? Is he an Americana genius that I don't know. How does this man conduct Mahler almost better than anyone?
Mm.
Not because Mahler's Jewish and he was Jewish. I don't believe that. Was he puritanical in any way? His love life certainly wasn't. I mean, I'm sure that from the beginning, his wife knew he was also attracted to many men.
Mm-hmm.
And the word many is important because so many men die from this puritanical aspect that they've got to be good boys,
Mm-hmm.
have to grow up, make sure that their mother approves of everything, and that they marry and stay that way, as my father certainly did. I cannot imagine him unfaithful.
Mm.
Cannot. It just would have been too much work for him.
That's why I come back, however, that his breadth is so great
Mm-hmm.
that though he has conquered that limitation, he's still able to see within the American mythic conception the beauty that comes from those who can't escape that inhibition. And I think again of an Ives. No one can be more puritanical in his conduct
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as much as what he tries to reflect in myth
Mm-hmm.
and music as Ives.
Mm-hmm.
To a degree that I know it has influenced me, thinking that I love this so much, there's only so far I can behave outside of the myth that I love. But he could love a myth and not feel obligated to behave after its patterns.
No, he'd go home and have a tryst.
Yes.
Go to a hotel. Go to anywhere. Probably drive hundreds of miles.
Mm-hmm.
And he would have Black Panther meetings, and yeah, nothing was out of bounds. If he was offered the presidency of the United States, he would have made a marvelous president.
So that there are some people, you're right, whose genius is so great,
Mm-hmm.
they can transgress incongruity and have it not be hypocrisy.
Yes, yes. For these few people, their gifts are so supreme,
Mhm.
so vast, like Liszt's,
Yes.
that when Beethoven says, you know, I too am king,
Mm-hmm.
he meant he also could rule as a king too.
Yes.
Bernstein could have been a wonderful president, a wonderful minister of fine arts, that we've never had anything about money given to the arts or a department of fine arts, you know, that, let's say, someone like Jackie Kennedy
Mm-hmm.
would be able to head. He would have transformed it. He started transforming in those early shows on classical music a whole generation that had no idea that it was existing. And if you lived in New York, I mean, you were always aware that there was a great classical music specialist here by the name of Bernstein, and you didn't
Mhm.
have to was his name Van der Molen or something? No,
Right.
no, he was always Lenny or Bernstein or so forth. And there was no way that the people in the orchestra did not adore him.
Well, then may I ask this? Because there is a man, and we can go back to the beginning of our conversation today, who did stride both worlds. What is the political appraisal of Paderewski as prime minister?
It's a very good question. There should be a modern biography of him right now because Poland is in a great moment of, either going the wrong way or,
I mean, do you agree? Because that's almost as interesting to think about as if we imagined that Leonard Bernstein for 4 years became president of the United States. And what would that be like?
wonderful. I want Bernstein as president of the United States. May he come back as soon as possible.
Why was the temperament of the world such that a Paderewski could become a prime minister? Is there any? First of all, is there any other precedent for that?
No.
I can't think of one. Like
No, not at all. Never even vaguely
Mhm.
as a concert pianist or composer.
Mhm.
There have been, poets that have, been in politics
Yeah.
in the Czech Republic most recently, but he's the first. He is without doubt the most magnetic man of the age.
Mhm.
The beauty of the man. Henry James said he had a deposit of goodness in him that you could just feel.
Yes.
He stunned everyone by his manners, by his elegance, until everyone saw his piano playing swamped into nothingness critically
Mm.
by so many of his colleagues, like Riesenauer said, "Oh, Paderewski does everything wonderfully except play the piano."
I've heard that
It's a
remark. Yeah.
blatant lie. He was a
Mhm.
very great pianist. The best reviews of him are by George Bernard Shaw. Wilson had succumbed to him. Clemenceau, Lloyd George, they were stunned at his power of diplomacy.
Mm.
He had given up his concert career to become a spokesman for Poland in World War I. He had raised more money. Remember, there were more Poles in Chicago than there were in, Krakow. Or
Right.
something.
And am I right? He's interred at Arlington.
Hmm?
Is he interred here in the United States?
Yes, he's interred. The body is interred at the Arlington National Cemetery
Yes.
by order of his friend, his real friend, Teddy Franklin Roosevelt, who
Yes.
had begged him to now come back because in 1939, as we know, Poland was invaded in early September, and there was no spokesman for the Polish community here was vast. And so, of course, this master politician called Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, "You got to get on the airwaves, maestro, and push the funding. America's not in the war yet, but it needed to, it had Lend-Lease with it was involved in all those nations, believe me." So Paderewski indeed, he's very weary. He's given up his premiership. He had a terrible rival in a different party who really was and would have been dictator of Poland. What was his name? Polkowski or something like that.
Okay.
A vicious, Polish patriot who was going to, defeat Paderewski. Now, Paderewski's not used to anything physically except luxury.
Mm.
He went in his own Pullman car
Mhm.
throughout America with his chiropractor, his parrot, his wife,
Mhm.
who he was always the second wife. The first one died at age 20. Imagine,
Mm.
and he was so romantic about her. Even he had a son that he took care of that died. A cripple in many ways. And he had a lot of obligations, but never did he not have the obligation to Poland. His father had already been imprisoned in the 1863 uprising. How do I know all of this about Poland? I think it's quite correct.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he's such a tremendous orator, just as he's a great piano figure.
Mm-hmm.
And they pour in money, both for the World War One. I think that he was influential in bringing in World War One a Canadian regiment to fight, and he had them trained in Canada because we were not in any war at that time. So at the end of the Versailles Conference, it was almost always understood that Paderewski would become, in a free Poland, the first time in hundreds of years, a free Poland would exist, and that Paderewski, by dint of the Versailles Conference and his great popularity, would become the first prime minister, not premier. Anyway, he went home. He had given up the piano career, but his critics said he wasn't aggressive enough. He slept too late in the morning. Every kind of stupid criticism you can imagine. And Clemenceau had said, why are you possibly in diplomacy now when you are a great pianist? It's ridiculous. But he came back around 1924 when he had some, assassination attempts, I believe, and it was way above him. The coalition of the parties, the Communist Party was deep in, getting. It didn't just happen. All of a sudden, Stalin is already involved in Poland. He wants it. He just said, "I've had enough. I'm tired," and everyone was happy when he gave. Within 9 months, he went to his ranch in California and practiced for hour after hour, because he never had an easy technique to play.
Well, that's the next question I wanted to say. In terms of the lore of the piano, we're all accustomed to how early so many of the luminaries come to it. Am I right in remembering that he subjected himself to a rather late life push to become a virtuoso? Am I right?
Yes, of course, you're right.
And what years?
You're always right.
I don't know about that, but whatever I'm right about, I learned in terms of piano lore from you. Wasn't he even in his 20s when he went to Leschetizky?
Yeah, he was 24 years old when he went to Leschetizky.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that he was not a fine pianist.
Okay.
I'm sure he was practicing his whole life. But, it was not of that caliber of the Leschetizky technique that he was selling to the world as a commercial enterprise. He had every important pianist in his stable. From Friedman to Moiseyevich to the last one being Horzhowski. And Leschetizky, at first refused him, and then he reluctantly gave him over for a year of hard technical practice with his wife, Annette Esipova, who had really made a great tour of America once. Honecker called her feminine and fascinating. And she was the teacher of Simon Barrère at the St. Petersburg Conservatory, of many other people. And she taught him very hard. The Minuet in G's first performance,
yes,
the world famous piece that people couldn't get enough of, was dedicated to her. No, she gave the first performance of it. He had written it a while before, and I think that the Piano Concerto in A minor, which is extremely good, of Paderewski, she also gave the premiere, not him, and it's dedicated to her. I mean, so he must have felt very, very close and grateful to her. Then later on, he had said that the lodestar of his life was Leschetizky, who had indeed a great magnetism for people and for pianists. Mark Twain thought of him as a great giant.
Do we know where Twain saw him?
Twain lived in Vienna for 1 whole year, chaperoning his daughter, Clara Clemens.
Okay.
And he got to see all of the classes, and that's where Clara met her future husband, who would become the Detroit Symphony Orchestra conductor and a great pianist. Sorry, of almost all of the Leschetizky students, I would have loved to have had more recordings by him, and he didn't have the time, it seemed.
And who was that?
Gavrilovich.
Thank you for saying that
Osip
out loud. I've
Gavrilovich.
never dared. That's what I would call a reader's word. Seen it 1,000 times, and we talk about this a lot. That we have less and less chance to hear the things that we read said aloud.
Nobody has any vocabulary.
You know, and names like that
Gavrilovich
too.
was a great one. The little stuff that it's just exquisite. He has a recording on two pianos with Harold Bauer, another of those
Yes.
golden agers, of the Arensky Waltz from the suite. It is by far the most evocative, atmospheric, and technically greatest thing, 4 minutes, ever put on recording for four hands.
So it's Bauer and
Gavrilovich.
playing Arensky
Arensky's.
in a four-hand arrangement.
No, two pianos arranged.
Two pianos. Okay.
From the suite for two pianos by Arensky, a really estimable composer.
I agree.
As Paderewski was.
I only know, I think, isn't that the piano trio? We hear that a lot, the Arensky trio, don't we?
Yeah, the Arensky trio. And Horowitz actually played the Arensky piano concerto in Russia.
Wow, I've not heard that, and I'm ashamed to say I've
I never heard it either, no.
I've
I
never
have,
heard-
yes.
I've never heard the Paderewski.
Oh, it's
piano
excellent. Earl Wild recording it very well.
I have no doubt that he would have done that.
Yeah.
All right. Excuse me.
So he's an interesting story, and so he gave it up, came back to Carnegie Hall, perhaps never again had the technique because he really had retired from about 1914, the First World War, because he was terrified of what could happen to Poland. And remember, he's a patriot because his father was in the uprising, the Polish uprising of 1863, and they threw him in jail for a while. Paderewski's father.
Okay.
Yeah. Russia and Poland is not a nice story. Remember, Chopin is not Polish; he's a Russian subject.
Interesting. I didn't really kind of think of that.
The whole world, the great Russian, the great Polish composer is not. He's not at all during his lifetime Polish. He's a Russian subject. Interesting stuff, huh?
It sure is.
Because we don't understand that these people lived in time of war just as we do.
And yet so productive. And that the more we seem to have these machines that, and you've seen them, that try to suggest one can paint on the screen and write on the screen, everything becomes concentrated into this one digital medium that has no texture. And all of these old arts that seem to have very separate material elements to them now vanish. And hence we live in this almost glassy-like world in which no fingerprints at the same time are left behind.
Imagine
Yes.
painting so totally in its own realm with your hand and with your paper, and now you can paint anything you want on a computer screen. It's ridiculous, just ridiculous.
And surely the consequence will always be different when the resistant material is not present. And
No,
we've talked about that a
the
million
proper
times.
materials must be there.
And they must be, to a degree, also resisting whilst being the necessary material.
Yes, I've read many interviews of many writers, as you have, from the Paris Review,
Yes.
and to the many, whenever I can get a good interview with not me, but to read one, from a writer, I don't care, they always say marvelous things, in my opinion. And so many of them, the average goes way above 50%, really only use the typewriter as their final moment.
Yes.
But they really do handwrite it all. And they say, oh, I have the yellow pad, or I only can do it when I have my pencil or pen,
Yes.
or I have to have a certain kind of pencil. That is the cheapest way of making a living. My God, just how much is up? You can find a pencil on the street.
You're
Get
right.
a piece of paper and write a poem.
Exactly. Or walk into a bank. They love to give away pens now.
They give away pens. How come? I wonder.
I don't know, because it used to be that there was a pen that one placed back in the little brass holder, and now there are millions of little green pens in everyone's junk
I
drawer.
take them all, you know.
Yes.
And I'm always upset with them because there's no ink in them after about 5 times. They're made cheaply. The plastic is terrible.
Yes.
I'm sorry to say. And if they were better, I wish they had real points to them because I just am wild about a real pen.
Yes. Agreed.
I've been looking for a certain pen in my apartment now for 2 years. I know it's here.
All
I
right.
can't find it. It's
Now,
a
do you,
fabulous
at
pen.
the same time, if something comes to you, if you really feel compelled to write a letter, would you defer execution of the writing until you find the right medium, or do you still
No,
proceed?
no, I don't know. I consider it a form of luck. I've just completed a little triptych of 6 inches by 12
Mm-hmm.
on canvas. This just like this,
Mm-hmm.
3 of them, and they're to be together. They're
Okay.
done now. They're on my desk in the north end of the castle.
Yes.
Yeah, the huge castle that I have in the back.
It seems to all serve to a degree as a library.
It's a library,
Yes.
but it's a museum of hundreds of magnificent Rembrandts and so forth. I mean, I will never have to starve. And joking, of course, ladies and gentlemen.
Beware of the romance of your possible starvation, because you may suddenly have a shift in fortune and rue the time when you had the romantic remove of the undiscovered man.
Yes.
I really believe that.
Yeah, I do too.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I would like to believe that I have a palace way back there.
Mm-hmm. Well, you do, I must say, and this is not me trying to suddenly create a myth at this moment while we're speaking in a public medium. I think you've heard me say many times, part of the grandeur of this weekly pilgrimage to you, there could be nothing, and I say this to our audience with absolute sincerity, more grand and cinematic than the walk from the subway, from Broadway over to this tremendous enchanted zone of West End Avenue, which seems to be a separate place from the block of Broadway, only, 100 yards?
It is a separate place.
And it does have an air of a kingdom.
Yeah. This is the West End Kingdom, and
Even the dogs are dressed very regally here.
oh, they're fantastic.
Yes.
My dog died, as you know, a year
Yes.
ago.
Yes.
The little long-haired Chihuahua. I just dream of him every moment, touching that head.
Yes.
Oh God! And my cat died a year ago
Yes.
too. A beautiful British short-hair blue.
You can't perhaps ever fancy the idea of having maybe another cat?
No,
Okay.
at least not now. I have to be careful of my impulsiveness.
All right.
But getting back to the triptych I was doing,
Yes.
which was 3 of these small little things, each different. They're all 3 abstractions. I do not know. Talking about mediums, and so I do not know how I did them, for I looked for nothing. The paint, the brushes, everything that I needed, meaning the size of the brush, the actual gold that I used of a gold pen, all of it was standing in front of me, knowing that these would be my. These are the only things that I never looked for a thing. It was not a moment's waste of time. This morning before you came,
Mm-hmm.
the 3rd one was completed. How? I mean, I'm not saying it's great painting. I'm not saying I even have seen it enough to like it. All I know is all 3 of these slender works
Mm-hmm.
came so effortlessly that I wish I could play the piano like that.
Do you think in part a moment like that comes from the part of the subconscious that Teddy Roosevelt is referencing when he says, and though I think in this moment he's really maybe preaching to the young a kind of Puritan didactic generalization. This is a paraphrase, but it's close. Do what you can with what you have where you are. And do you think at that moment some aspect of your creative self, within the moment, simply of looking at those materials linked something that was already looming in you and knew that it would fit that archetype and that you could immediately reach for those things?
Nobody could say it more eloquently than you. That is exactly what it was.
Mm.
And I'm not about to look for anything because I've got to get this out.
Right. Okay.
It's right in front of me, the exact color. The third one came to me in the morning, no effort. It'll be the middle one of these. This one has a lot of white canvas in it. The gold, whatever the pen, right in front of me. I've never looked for it. I never saw it there. It's there.
Mm-hmm.
The little brush, exactly the little brush I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw those three in a little $1 store, I went in, on near Madison and something, and there's three canvases, blank canvases, $1.99 each. And I knew that size was beguiling to me the moment I saw it. And there's the first moment. You have to go to the size that you want your work to be in.
Mm.
I saw three, and I bought three.
Mm-hmm.
Now I say to myself, gee, I'd like to go back and get more of these canvases. But you know what? I'm not going to. You know why? I don't want to do another one that size. I've just done the three that I want. This idea of the creative spirit is in every human being, but that's the sin. They will not let it out in whatever direction it will be. And some people it will be, very, very strange even.
Mm-hmm.
Very strange stuff can come out. Harmless, very creative, but a little weird, to say the least,
Right.
Mm.
Well, what's that line? It might be from one of the Frank Capra movies. We are all a little pixelated.
Yes. No, I want to ask you,
Yes.
we haven't talked about, one of your great books is about the running.
Okay.
It's a really wonderful
Well,
book.
thank
Give
you.
him the title.
Oh, Locomotive.
Locomotive.
Mm-hmm.
And we want you to buy our little things because and I know someone has bought a book recently, thank
I
goodness.
occasionally have means of knowing that, so it's quite a moment when one wonders where, almost like a message in a bottle, where one's book is floating across what ocean to what imagined person on what island.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's one of the great satisfactions of writing, I must say.
To bring back
stranger.
that romantic spirit you have
Well,
into thousands of people would be my great desire for you.
Well, thank you, David. Because I always find it much more appealing to learn when a book is sold that it was bought by a stranger. Not because I feel that the market is expanding necessarily, and that's fine, but because the best of oneself is communicable. It's as if one is in a correspondence with some common element of humanity. And the ship in the bottle, or note in a bottle, is the kind of envelope.
Oh, that's a wonderful.
Have you ever done that?
What?
In the actual sense, put a note in a bottle and thrown it in the sea?
No.
I did in 2003, and I can tell you, if it survives, it hasn't come back yet. I did it on the ferry from Orient Point to New London, and when I was midway, I threw it in the sea.
I think that everyone should do that. It's a wonderful idea.
It's what I know, and it's to a degree, metaphorically, moves me as a writer. And in a way, when people ask how does one continue without an audience or such a small audience, it's that same thrill of making something perfect and then trusting that it has some degree of self-reliant integrity, that it'll survive the waves and the shark that takes a bite or the whale that slaps it with its tail, and somehow still end up on that proverbial desert
Right
island.
now, it's probably just moving slowly on the Baltic Sea.
That would be quite
Who knows?
something.
Yes, who knows?
Yes, the Baltic Sea.
The Baltic Sea. It's a wonderful sound.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you,
Yes.
because this is such a beguiling book, which you can get on Amazon, Jack Kohl, Kohl.
Right.
Think of it. Think of it. What a name. It's easy to remember, and it's a beautiful last name.
Well, thank you, David. I was only a bit distressed to realize that it's the word for cabbage.
In what language?
German.
Well, German is quite a startling language.
Right, and then of course the English spelling Cole. Then it made sense to me that it is related to cabbage because we have the word coleslaw.
Right. And the Moroccans use what they call a color, coal, which they blacken their eyes. The Atlas Mountain people.
And it's not spelled Coal in that case?
I think it's a K. I think so.
Because you're right, because sometimes even on the computer I've seen strange cross-references to that come up when I've seen my name.
Jack, are you running?
I do mainly calisthenics now, but it keeps me fit enough to accept running invitations socially. So that if people say we're going to do 5 miles in the woods or do hill repeats, apparently for what I do for myself, which is like high volume military calisthenics, I can still keep up.
How did you learn those?
Those, because I knew after a while that running, for me, running also had an imaginative thing that allowed me to give myself to
What allowed you to write that book?
You're right, and there were certain aspects of what are one's limits that allowed me to still practice it for the sake of my health. And I don't mean that it has limits, but maybe I felt that I had found those limits for myself. And I knew I needed something that just didn't serve the lower part of me. And we talked about this earlier. There's something about the monastic element, and I think it comes from you, perhaps, talking about piano being, or practicing the piano, being just like, what is the phrase? I believe it is meditation without the mantra. I think that is a phrase that you've used.
I do believe that, yeah. I don't know if I...
So when people laugh that I was able to train for a marathon on a treadmill, which meant I was standing sometimes in a place for 3 hours at a time.
Really? Mm-hmm.
And then people would say, well, how do you do that? And what do you think about that during that time? And then my answer was really sincere. I would say my mind would be thinking the same things 3 hours in a stationary position than it might be if it was moving 3 hours through three-dimensional space. And perhaps more at liberty to think what I want to think because I'm not being bombarded by external information. So the move to calisthenics was perhaps even more pianistic because sometimes when I'm doing the motion, I really feel like it's a hammer of the piano going up and down, up and down. And even though, to your credit, you're right, we have to ridicule a culture that's always asking more and more fitness or more and more this. I will say this for it. I never listen to the radio, I never have anything on in the background because for some reason when I'm doing that, the unbidden comes most to me. When I'm not in any way moving or submitting to any stimuli that's not coming from within. So that when I, especially in the winter, submit to going into the laundry room, this dim, gray concrete of a place, and submit myself to things that I guess other people would dread, that would only conjure their memories of being an early recruit in the Marines. Sometimes my best writing, I have to keep a little pad next to me in between the timer going off and catch the things that come from what I call the unbidden.
The unbidden.
Yeah.
It's everything.
It is, and you speak of it often in terms of the...
Well, and I've told you that, to me it's ridiculous to be listening to music while you're painting. I mean, you can't possibly do that.
No. The yoking of things, that's something that deserves a whole book. That are metaphors and relationships and similes important? Yes. But in terms of the adequacy of the metaphorical leaps, well, we really should be ourselves the only thing on one side of a metaphor. And then that other unbidden idea is the only other extra thing in the traces or the yoke. But when people, as you say, and so many people do, when I've been in studios and things, there's the music on in the background, and the first thing I desperately wish, even when I'm conversing with that person, is can't they just turn that off so we can start to speak? And David, to your credit, I've never, again, if we characterize the atmosphere of my visits to you, as soon as I come off the elevator, except for the times I've heard you practicing, I've never heard a sound emitting from your space. It has the glory of the elevation of silence.
I love that silence.
Yes.
I can sit for hours just thinking, letting it wander.
Yes.
Wow.
And the elevation of your apartment, Though I know you have due cause to complain about sirens at certain times for some
Oh
reason.
yeah, I mean it's small compared to what
Okay.
most people go through.
And maybe because of the imminence of the snow, do you agree tonight is particularly hushed? I would imagine that if someone was guessing where we were from the ambient sound, and I would say they are correct, it could be a very rural space. I'm looking out to the cross street through the window that's 9 or more stories above the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and it's as hushed as if we were on the prairie right now.
Mm.
And maybe it's because of the imminence of the snow.
So you say the prairie, and my little brain starts going with the fanfare for the common man.
Yes,
To me, that's in 3 minutes the whole prairie.
it is.
How did a guy from Brooklyn, Copeland, who we've spoken of a lot,
Yes. What is your opinion about that? Do you think, at the risk of becoming technical, it has something to do with the voicings and the leaps? If we then go into a horizontal conception, why does it sound so much like prairie?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so fabulous a concept. Why would that be? Did Copeland even think like that? No. There's no doubt that it got to him that way, though, later on, if he didn't in the beginning. It's a space that is perfect within that 4 minutes, and it's telling me that there's great silence and grandeur.
And to boot, early on, in terms of reminding me to always try to be free of a kind of cosmopolitan bigotry, the music also seems to intimate something about the mythic people who live within that space, in the sense that that very prairie-like vastness that it invokes also has a learnedness, notwithstanding the fact that it may not be the bookish learnedness that will cause a cosmopolite to dismiss people from that region. It's caused me to be very cautious when I see people who reflect that very, very austere prairie invocation. That, and am I correct also that it was to Virgil Thompson that Copeland said that he owed his treatment of Americana to the way Thompson invoked it in those WPA films like The Plow That Broke the Plains?
Could be. I don't remember if that's what I know. I just don't know.
Because those are astonishing scores.
They were a part of a composer's vocabulary
Mm-hmm.
that were American composers. I hear it all over Roy Harris.
Yes.
They're all gone. I mean, nobody is hearing a thing of Roy Harris.
No.
What's wrong?
You're right. There's a tremendous recording that came out very late in life for Bernstein. It's the third symphony.
Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful piece.
Oh, and so many things. I was listening to some of the what is it called? The thing that my interviews are on,
YouTube.
and that we're on now.
Yeah.
YouTube. I was listening to some of my programs that Robert Tanucci has
Yes.
saved for the what is it called again?
The YouTube.
The YouTube.
Mhm.
I have always trouble with it.
It's
We're on it.
not a very mellifluous sounding
Yeah,
title.
YouTube. And I was listening to these 1999 shows, which he's put on most of them, I think,
Yes.
that were found. My God, some of this music is so fabulous.
Are
I'm
you
not
talking
talking
about
about
programs-
greatness of the Beethoven level. I'm talking about really wonderful music that's uplifting, that's passionate, that's pastoral, which is these American composers had immense techniques to compose.
Yes. Are you talking about the American Century programs? of
Yeah.
yours? Well, just think about the way you titled it. You know, Beethoven may be timeless, but a century certainly earns an identity. And those composers certainly earned a right to say that they had a breadth that extended over a time where they were able to invoke both, like as you've said, even in your own books, how does Copeland so well express in such austere means, as in the piano variations, a cityscape, and then move to the dignity of an empty grassland and the people that perhaps we imagine that are on that grassland, maybe never learned themselves to spell, but at the same time, we can only feel that they have a learnedness that's part of the canon of the history of the West from Plato on down,
Yeah, and then
because of the way he mythologizes it.
and he mythologizes the cowboys and everything
Yes.
else, and the Pennsylvania Shakers, or
What a piece.
what a piece! I mean, you can breathe the air.
And I don't know if you feel this. Once I heard the 13 instrument version, I was stunned
Beautiful. I heard it. Yes,
how beautiful it is in that pared down original orchestration.
the one they first did for Martha
Yes.
Graham.
Yes.
But we go back to the question of Bernstein, who's comes at the tail end of that marvelous 1930s 40s.
Yeah.
All of these early composers were just European Americans, who
Hmm.
then suddenly, with the discovery of Ives by Cowell, was one of the
Yes.
major ones. Cowell and his tone clusters, marvelous composer too. Why is this not played anywhere in the world? Why should this, first of all, ever been just part of the American school of composing? But where did it go? We're talking about an immense body of work by about 35 to 50 composers of greatness.
Hmm.
Gone.
Yes.
Only thing left is the Rhapsody in Blue by Gershwin.
By Gershwin. A remarkable piece, I'll grant it. It's not
Love
a
it.
fluke
Oh, I
in its
love it.
survival.
I love it.
But and there's never a time that I don't stand in Bryant Park, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if one looks across, is where Aeolian Hall used to stand, and that's where I believe it was premiered.
Sure was.
Yeah, so I always try to remember that ghost. If anyone asks me what romantic image I have going through my head, it's that night when it wasn't Rachmaninoff present, and
Yes, Rachmaninoff.
what a night. So if I had a time machine and someone gave me 5 great things to see in the past, I might be tempted just to sit in the audience that night. And maybe not even face the stage, but watch the people coming in.
I would love to do that, true, but I would love to know that it spawned in 1924 or whenever,
Yeah.
at that time probably, this huge American school.
Yes.
Because the only thing before the Rhapsody in Blue that had any American tunes in it or whatever would be the Negro Rhapsody by John Powell, a Virginian who wrote a piece about 16, 17 minutes that was really played a great deal. But Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue totally destroyed its possibility.
What was the name of the Powell piece again?
The Rhapsody Negra,
And what is the forces for which it's written?
piano and orchestra.
Piano
That's
and
what
orchestra.
I meant, the
Okay,
same,
wow.
the same exactly, yeah.
Same exact forces, and
Yes,
then the Rhapsody
yes.
in Blue dethrones it.
Yeah, he dethroned it, and he dethroned.
Are there modern recordings of that?
I think there's one, just one that I've heard. I don't remember the pianist. It was on some American label.
Did you ever get a chance to read it through at the piano?
No.
Okay, I was wondering what it
No.
looked like.
I've seen other pieces of his. One of them is titanic in size, like an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh.
The Sonata Teutonica.
Mm-hmm.
But again, he's trying to be Teutonic.
Right.
And then there's another one that I read through, which is very, very sweet piece, a sonata called the Sonata Noble.
Wow.
There's a big violin sonata, and I remember being in West Virginia,
Mhm.
Virginia, where he lived, and he was a big name there, and a real name at the turn of the century. He had studied with Leschetizky also.
Well, that's
John Powell. Gone forever.
Hmm.
We don't.
And when did he pass?
Probably around 1960.
Wow. All right. So he's pretty recent too. I mean,
Yeah.
he's
Probably born around 1880s.
okay.
And Powell's name is gone. And I was playing with Stanley Waldorf in our concert called The Piano in America.
Hmm.
And the Lee Bureau, you see, there's no one left that would even understand me, but this man Lee knew what we were doing,
Mm-hmm.
and he would send us to all of these places to play our American program.
Mm-hmm.
So we would do the women's club circuit a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And we played our American program. There was no Powell on it, and I played on a Steinway
Mm-hmm.
that was so beautiful. Stanley too remarked, "I've never heard a piano so beautiful."
In Virginia.
In could have been Roanoke.
Okay.
I don't think it was Richmond. We did things in 3 or 4 cities in Virginia, and I think this is Roanoke. And so afterwards, I went to the woman who sponsored it there, the leader of the women's club, and I said, "What a piano you have here! What a..." And she pointed to a portrait of John Powell,
Oh.
and John Powell gave this piano to the women's club of whatever, Roanoke.
Do we imagine it was a generic bequest, or that had been his piano?
It had been his piano.
His piano. All right.
And it was, yeah, his piano. That was the idea. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, probably from the 1917 or 20 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was a beauty. It's like seeing a magnificent woman somewhere, and it was just,
Mm-hmm.
wow, is she gorgeous. That piano, I've only played on 3, 4, 5, 6 great pianos in my life that, to me,
Yes.
just I would love to have them. And yet I don't want them because they're too beautiful. You understand?
I do. Now, David, is one of those pianos the piano that you speak about in the Steinway Basement article for the New Criterion? Or was that just the best piano that you could find that day?
No, that was nothing compared to the one, the 3, 4, or 5. One was the Horowitz piano. Absolutely.
So you felt that piano lived up to
Oh.
what one would imagine for it?
You could create on it.
Wow.
Then there was one in Severin's Recital Hall in Cleveland,
Mm-hmm.
and a couple of others. But if I was asked to own it, well, I would have to now take care of it in a different way.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It has to be tuned and regulated and so forth more. And I'm just the type that will play on anything that's in front of me.
Well, that's credit to you.
Why?
Well, it makes you intrepid, and it makes you, as Roosevelt says, one of those people, one of those men who does what he can with
Yeah.
what he has, where he is.
And I want to say to the audience, thank you very much for being with us.
Mhm.
This is for Jack and I to get together weekly is an honor for us to talk to you. And we did have one comment this week, and tell them what it was.
Oh,
Just one out of the 10 millions of people watching us. One person left a comment.
That-
I wish you would.
well, that the viewer kindly said he had hoped, or had hoped, that we would have more viewers than we do. But I'm sure in time we will.
We should have many because I think we say a lot of good things that I don't get to hear much.
Agreed. You also, David, allow me to realize that there are things that I know that I don't realize I know, because we need the other to draw out from
How
us.
should I know I'm going to be talking about Nevin today from
Yes.
Pittsburgh, or John Powell, his Sonata Teutonic, Bernstein's note to me letter
Yes.
that we have no idea what's roaming around until someone talks to us. That's why Goethe said the most important communication is the conversation between two people.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, I want to say, come back next week, right?
Yes. I think we'll get through the snow that's coming.
I don't care.
I welcome it.
Yeah, I used to hate it because of Cleveland had a certain thing that went into your bones. The cold weather off of Lake Erie would go into your bones a certain way. And one day, maybe 25 or 30 years ago, I said to myself, I don't know why I always say I dislike winter. I don't.
Mhm.
And from that moment, every season has meant something to me.
I agree.
They're all so different.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to spring. I haven't smelled that spring air in a long time. So, what are you going to do this week?
Do you mean, until we see each other?
Yeah.
Well, I just finished an essay last week that I mentioned to you.
Oh, you didn't read it to me. I wanted you to.
Well,
Yes.
Next week I'll be honored to read it to you.
Yes, good.
I compressed something from 6,000 words of notes down to about 1,500 until it. There's a wonderful phrase that Emerson says of Montaigne's essays that cut these words and they will bleed. So I try to use that as my standard, that if you get to a point that there's nothing else you can take out without blood showing, then you finally submitted it to the right compression.
You just inspired someone
I hope so.
to go to their pen and their pencil or their paper. Oh,
Yes.
I love paper. And I want to say that I thank you for coming in again.
Thank you, Dave.
And I want very much for you to subscribe and to be with us again.
Mm-hmm.
And the next year is coming up.
Yes, it is. We'll be reuniting in the new year.
Yes, and I hope that we haven't babbled too much in the last 10 minutes, but I want all of you to fly high. What was Superman's phrase? The get
I mean, ultimately up and
up
away.
and away for
Yes.
2026 with Leonard Bernstein coming back to life and being
Okay.
the President of the United States.
There are always possibilities. Okay, David.
Who knows?
Okay.
Only the shadow knows.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.